Oh, there we go. We got volume.
I'll remove this. I'll just move this. There we go.
All right. So the place to look is right there.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, sorry for the little bit of glitch of a start. We were trying to set up a microphone. Here you see a view of us. We have our salon table down into a nice big cozy space for under passage. And we hope you can see how rough it is out behind us. My name's Anne, and this is my awesome husband Dennis.
Hello, hello.
And
Hi, Robin. Hi, everybody. I'm Carl.
And let's not forget.
Shotzi!
Woo! Like, what are you people doing?
Yeah. And if you see Shotzi, she has a thunder shirt on to help keep her calm. And then inside this little pouch that I made is her PLB, personal locator beacon. So if she ever went overboard, then she would ping on her Garmin, her GPS location, and we could rescue her then. Whee! It's weird because we see a delay of ourselves. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we'll go ahead and talk about, I don't see the comments.
There are no comments yet.
Okay. While we're waiting for everybody to get with us, let's tell a little bit about ourselves and how we got started.
Sure. I got roped into this by Anne because she had in her match profile a long, long time ago, probably like, 14, 15 years ago. Do you want to sail the world? And I was like, well, here's this attractive woman. And I was like, sure, whatever. But then as we got to know each other and our relationship blossomed, I was, hook, line, and sinker in doing this. I took a sailing course. We bought a boat, and we came up with this GTFOplan. And then last year in November,
Tell me how we started first boat.
Sure, we had a Catalina 30. It was a monohull, which is super tiny, which is what Carl has. But yeah, now last November we flew down to Cape Town, South Africa, and moved aboard, and we've been living aboard since.
Yeah, so a year and a half. So like Dennis said, we started in Cape Town, South Africa, where the boat was built. We picked her up new. She had a lot of glitches you might have seen in our videos. She was the last boat released before their month-long holiday, and we believe she was released quite early. So we're still actually working through some warranty items. If you hear that loud smacking, this is real life deck smack, and it's very rough right now. And it was a pretty steep learning curve. The first 6 months, we felt like we were drinking from a fire hose, but we figured things out. We've made mistakes. We've learned from some mistakes, but now we feel very comfortable at our skills.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah. So we are heading to the Mediterranean. We left Sint Maarten, but in order to do that, not just because of insurance requirements, but we also felt more comfortable having crew on board. So Robin, we got to know last year in Howe Bay. So Robin, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Robin, and like they said, I met them last year on Christmas Eve, 2 years ago, right? Christmas Eve 2023, and we stayed in touch. And after I crossed the southern Atlantic Ocean, they decided to recruit me for this trip. So
Yeah.
It's been great.
Well, wasn't it? You just got off the plane that day, and you're like, "Hey, you're coming to a party."
I literally flew in, came to from the airport to Hot Bay, and just as I met my new crew, they were carrying food over to Anna Dennis's boat. They said, "Hey, we're going to this Christmas Eve party," and I didn't know anyone at that point. So
Yeah.
And then we went to the fourth, and so we used the website findacrew.net. It's a great resource if you're looking for crew opportunities as an individual, or if you're a boat owner, if you're looking for a crew to help you. We had picked out a couple people, set up an interview with Carl, and I think you explained it brilliantly in your blog the other day. So introduce yourself, Carl.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carl, and just like Dennis mentioned, I was on that website looking for some awesome people that I could sail the Atlantic with. Because, that's what people do, I guess. They just go on the internet to sail the Atlantic with people, right? And they canceled my interview probably about half an hour before because I was not validated on the app. So they thought I was some kind of a, shady dude who was trying to illegally smuggle himself into Europe. But, I managed to pacify the situation, pay whatever I had to pay to get myself validated, and was crazy. 20 minutes later, to just say, well, how would you like to join us? I'm like, just like that, like right here, right now. I mean, I'm gonna need probably a little bit more. I mean, my mind was set. I just wanted to play hard to get.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's funny because every time you would look away from once we kind of made the decision, you would look away from the camera and you'd like do something on your computer, and Anne's like, so that's
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming with us.
I'm just so glad those guys are awesome, and this is such a fantastic experience, and even Shati's having a good time most of the time.
Yeah. Except at night. She gets a little freaked out at night. So one of our criteria for all crew that comes aboard is she doesn't like to go down below in the cabins because it's so loud down there when we're under passage. So one of the requirements for crew is you have to be willing to hold and comfort Shotzi during your watch as much as you can, which is probably a very unusual thing to ask.
That is the best part. I mean, look at her.
it's huge. Now, Carl, for you, this is your first ocean passage.
Yeah.
This is one of your bucket list items. And for those of you that have been following us on Facebook, at least, and Instagram, Carl's been doing daily updates on his journey, and we've been linking those in there as well. So check that out because it's been some really awesome stuff that you've put out. And it's really cool how you're documenting it as well.
Yeah, because it's my first time, I think my perspective may be slightly different from theirs. They're pros. I'm here as a tourist, and for me, everything is new. Everything is absolutely fascinating, and it's just such a great adventure.
Yeah.
By the way, I need to give a shout to my dad, who's also a sailor, and he's watching us.
Oh, perfect.
Oh,
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Rush Creek Yacht Club in Heath, Texas. I'm wearing our Sunfish World shirt.
Oh, perfect.
So I think they made a great decision. They asked me if I wanted to be on the interview with him, and I'm just like, no, I trust you guys. And they could not have picked a better guy. Like, seriously, and he plays the guitar as well, which is just awesome.
Yeah.
He can't catch fish, but he plays the guitar.
Oh! Not yet. I'm still working on it.
Do you want to tell them why we're doing this from the inside here?
Why are we doing this from the inside? Because it is cold outside and it's even louder outside than it is here with the wind noise. If you saw my impromptu live stream a couple of days ago, that was just kind of a let's see what this is like plan. The audio was terrible and we can't get the mic set up for this. So being in here, we at least make the noise not so bad. Although I hope you can hear that deck slap because it is something else. You can feel the boat vibrate. And when you're in the cabins up forward and you're trying to sleep, it sounds like someone's taking a sledgehammer under your bed and just going bam. And it's just a lot of fun. So if we look tired, it's valid. We're tired.
And if you look in the background in the window behind us, you can see how much we're bouncing up and down. And every once in a while, if you're lucky, you'll get to see the big money shot. As one of the bows digs in or some wave hits the broadside and just sprays everything.
Yep.
But with this passage, we went, like I said, from Sint Maarten. We're heading to Cadiz, Spain. Initially, we had talked about going to Bermuda and then to the Azores. We decided to cut Bermuda out just with the way the weather was, and then it saves us a good week. And it's about 2,300 miles to get to the Azores. It's about a 15-day trip. We hope we're within our 4-day window of getting there. We've already gone, we have 545 miles left. So we're getting there slowly but surely. And we'll probably hang out in Horta in the Azores for 4 or 5 days. Check out, see what's there. One, first of all, to Anne's point, and everybody else would agree, sleep. Just get a good night's rest, do nothing for an entire day. Then we'll do some reprovisioning. We'll probably do some exploring around the island, and then we kind of sit and wait. Maybe some maintenance stuff we got to fix.
Repairs for
Repairs.
sure.
Laundry.
Oh, laundry, big time.
Yeah.
Peter's Sports Bar.
Yeah, Peter's Sports Bar Cafe we have to go. But then we wait for the weather window, and we estimate it's about 6 days to get to Cadiz. Unfortunately, Carl and Robin will be leaving us in Cadiz, but we have some other crew lined up. And as we continue our passage, we're going to get into the Med, probably hit some places in Spain, Italy, France, but the end state is, the whole reason we're doing this is to be in Croatia at the end, in Bar, Croatia at the end of June, because Anne has a cousin whose wedding reception, unfortunately, was cut short a couple years, 5 years ago, by COVID. And Barbara is from Croatia, So we're gonna go there and celebrate.
Yeah. Whole family will be there. It'll be a big get together, and I think we're actually going to be. We might steal their thunder a little bit, showing up in this boat
Yeah.
because they're already like, oh, everybody's going to want you to take them around on your boat, and
That's
so
right.
we're
That's right.
we're gonna play tourist with them.
That's right.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that people think when they think about sailing in the ocean and not seeing land for so many days, because like we said, this passage is roughly 15 days straight. One of the things, people find it very, very scary to be out here. And I don't know that it's scary. I mean, we have had a couple of things happen, nothing huge on this trip, thankfully. Knock on fiberglass. But, you know, we would love to hear what people's fears are, but the way we keep ourselves as safe as we can is we have a Predict Wind subscription, and we run the weather morning and evening, and we take what we find there, and we follow the model ECMWF, and we put that model on our Garmin chart plotter, and so it maps out a course so we can get the winds and everything that we're expecting. You know, weather forecasts are not always right. That's when we have to learn to adapt and adjust the best we can. It feels pretty good right now. We're almost, as much as our boat can hold it in these conditions, we're almost doing now a direct shot east, heading to the Azores, so there's not much to do for that. And we think this peppy weather is going to be with us until the very end.
Or worse.
Yeah,
Coming in hot.
we are coming in hot. There's color gradient coatings where red is like really high, and we're seeing a lot of red for the end of this passage.
But to your point about safety stuff, what do we always make you do if anybody has to go forward?
We have to have our safety vests on, and they have to be tethered to the boat.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we run tether or safety lines on each side of the deck. It goes as far forward as we can get it. Then we have one that cuts across. It goes right by the base of the mast, because that's where we tend to be doing a lot of work, whether we're reefing, unreefing. And then we have another set of lines that go all the way up to the bowsprit, because if the conditions are right, that we can fly like one of our downwind sails. Somebody, one of us, will have to be up front to rig up the manual furler, and of course we want to do that in as safe conditions as possible. Another safety thing that we do is we are solo at night on the night shifts, but nobody goes forward without a partner at night. You don't leave the cockpit area at night. And then if there's something that happens and you don't know what's going on, right by the upper helm is a little button that hits the foghorn, and that will wake everybody up. And the dog out.
Yeah, dog has to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
Is the bird still there?
Yeah, the bird just stays there when she goes to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So we have a little hitchhiker. A little bird came and joined us on my watch last night. And the reason I saw the bird is because when it's rough weather like this, rather than Shotzi using her front yard up on the trampoline, we have a little piece of grass or backyard that she uses. And anyway, I went to put her there, and there's this, bird, black gray bird sitting there hitchhiking. I was like, okay. And I thought maybe the bird wouldn't be so happy when Shotzi went nearby, but the bird just stayed there while Shotzi did her thing on her path. And the bird is still there now, so I guess the bird is going to take a ride all the way to the Azores. But Shotzi is trained to go on command, the go POTTY command, and now she just did it on her own, and she expects a treat. So now that we've trained her to go potty on command, she always thinks she gets a treat afterwards. So there you go.
So we've had some really rough waves the last 24 hours.
Oh my God.
And at night, when they were getting really big, it had moments. It kind of made me think about having a baby, where you decide, well, maybe I changed my mind. When the pain gets really bad or the waves get really big, you're like, okay, maybe I don't want to do this. But like having a baby, you just have to push through. And then on the other end, you get the baby and you get these great locations. So
Yep. Yeah, it's like being on a ride at an amusement park and you cannot get off.
I could not agree more. You know what? I spent probably an hour just sitting out there on my own and looking out into the ocean, looking into the waves. enjoying those little splashes of water that I was getting into my face and onto my jacket. It's, you know, it's
Little splashes?
yeah, weren't that bad. Not as bad as the ones I got up front the other day. Yes, you know, it's just a fantastic feeling, and you know, this mix of happiness with solitude, with a little bit of self-reliance also. And I think a lot of us who are busy with everyday lives, with work and families and friends and our hobbies. I'm talking about those who don't live on a boat. That's the kind of stuff, you know. Yeah, we really need that reset. We need that element of detaching ourselves and finding a perspective on everyday life. And this is exactly what it gives me. It's a fantastic feeling.
And we are open to questions from everybody, so put those in the comments section. Carl's closest, so you or Ann will read those off to us. If you have one that you want to direct specifically at somebody, just put, whatever, at Ann, at Robin, whatever the case might be. We'll try to answer them all.
Yeah, Robin, you got a heart from Elizabeth.
Oh, hi, Elizabeth. How are you? Thank you guys for taking care of my truck while I'm gone.
Oh, we got one from Ed Weaver. He says, "Hey guys, hey Ed." He's a really loyal follower. We love all your feedback that you give us on our YouTube channel. We really appreciate it. And really for us, and I know we've said this before in videos, honestly, the cruising lifestyle, you might think it's about the sailing or about the destinations, but really what Dennis and I have really found, it's about the connections and the people we meet, like having great crew and, working through everything together. And it's just a really, I don't know, it's really great. And the way the cruising...
So on this, let me ask you a question, guys. What is that one thing that you miss most from the life that we have to live?
Dry clothes.
Dry. Just dry in general. It seems like our feet are always wet. We're usually barefoot. So your feet and your hands are always wet. We call it boat dry. We have towels behind. You can't see them. We're trying to mop up the water that comes on the back deck. And it just feels like everything is always some level of wetness. And sometimes Dennis and I just are like, oh, I just want to have my feet be dry. Dry. So I miss being dry.
I think another thing by living this remote lifestyle is you're physically removed from friends and family. It's easy to get in the car, drive over to see your kids or your parents or whatever, hang out, or have an impromptu like, hey, we're all going to meet at this bar at 6 o'clock tonight. So that makes it a little more challenging. Fortunately, we have Starlink, which is a phenomenal technology that we're exhibiting right now today with this live stream. And of course, we can always video chat, text with friends and family, but there's that proximity, that being able to see physically, that I think makes it a little more challenging sometimes. But yeah,
you kind of have to make your own cruising family in some ways. And I think the way Dennis and I tend to compensate is we just have a lot of parties and invite anybody around because we really like to have that social element.
Yeah. Plus, we're lazy. We don't have to go somewhere. We can just stay on the boat, just fall down and go to bed in our own cabin.
So we got a comment from Katie. So, Anne, that's...
Hey, Mom. Kisses and hugs from Georgia. And I'm half seasick watching the horizon bob up and down. Sorry, Mom. I feel your pain. I have to say that I'm using scopolamine patches in the back here. And they have been a game changer because we have been in really rough seas. And the other thing that I do is I keep crackers beside my bed. Crackers right here. I always have crackers. I always keep a little something in my stomach. And here we are 10 days in. My biggest fear, 11, feels like forever. My biggest fear.
I'm counting.
My biggest fear was being sick, and as captain, I know I can power through and I make do, but I'm definitely not a pleasant person when I'm sick. And I know where I get it from, Mom, because when you were on the boat, we did that passage, all of the poor people, my mom, my sister, and my nephew, we had to swap out their pupils, and then I started joining in on the fun. And so we only had my cute little niece, Katia, who does not get seasick at all, like Dennis, so lucky. But even despite the seasickness, I pushed through, and I'm glad I finally, after a year and a half, have a consistent solution to keep me from getting sick.
And unfortunately, Carl, you and Robin, you don't really get seasick either. So that's fortunate because there's 4 of us, and the way we have our schedule set up is everybody gets a 3-hour shift, and we run that with the exceptions of in the morning, we split one of them into an hour and a half for each person. We split a 3-hour shift into an hour and a half, and what that does is it resets the clock so that everybody has a rotating schedule, so that everybody gets an opportunity to see a sunrise, to see a sunset, have the pitch black at night, or whatever the case may be. So that rotates it. And then tied in with that, we also have each crew member rotate a dinner meal. So last night I made chili. Tonight Robin's going to do something with chicken. And then I think you're after that.
Yeah.
And then as your provisioning resources start to diminish, you look at what you have. And we had all this pasta from the spaghetti the other night. Like, what are we going to do with this? And then someone, I think Robin might have been you, like, we should do it. Oh, I said we have artichoke hearts and something else, or these little ham cubes. And you suggested let's make a pasta salad. So yeah, you become very creative and resourceful with what you have.
So going back to our watches, do you guys have a favorite time?
I like sunrise.
Sunrise.
Sunrise, if there's daylight, I like it.
Oh,
If there's a full moon, I like it.
Yeah, the past few nights have been just pitch black.
Yeah.
For a part of my watch last night, I was midnight to 3 a.m. And for the first 2 hours, it was just pitch black. I would do my duty, and I would go up top and do a 360 look around, looking for lights. Anyone who's not on AIS, automated identification system, like all your big tankers and cruise ships, and most sailboats that are out this far in the ocean usually have it as well. But you want to look for those lights, people that are not on AIS. And you're just looking at this blackness, and you see nothing, and you're like, would I even see anything if it were there? You know, it just starts to play with your head a little bit when it's pitch black. And like Dennis said, a full moon is just like the best thing because you can see.
I did see some bioluminescence the other night.
Yeah,
When,
Me too.
Oh, you guys have
we
seen
did
it?
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as the boat moves forward, it kicks up a lot of churn at the backside of the sugar scoops. And I just happened to go look, and you can see little flecks of blue-green glowing as the water was getting kicked up.
Yeah.
It was just a little bit. It was just better, I think, coming out of South Africa, but
Yeah.
still, the fact that you can see that, and there's stuff that glows.
It is so cool.
Yeah.
We saw a lot. We saw
I
a
mean,
lot.
it was just like
It was
churning
really
up.
cool.
Really
Yeah.
pretty, yeah.
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 And I like it at night when there's a little bit of moon, but the stars are really bright. It always reminds me of the song.
The song.
I forgot it.
That song.
The Crosby, Stills and Nash song.
Oh, the Southern
About
Cross?
the Southern Cross.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you go listen to that song after being on watch at night and you can see the stars that way, it takes on a whole new meaning.
Yeah.
It's really, really beautiful.
That's great.
I think we should do weird questions that you've had. Like, you've had people ask you where we anchor or how we anchor at night.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
So how do we anchor in about 4 kilometers of water below us?
You don't?
Yeah.
We are a 24/7 operation.
Yeah. There is no anchoring in the middle of the ocean at all.
I think the deepest waters that we've anchored in was off Saint Helena. We were in 70 feet of water. Normally, you do a 5 or 7 to 1 ratio of your anchor road and use line, chain, all that kind of stuff you put out. And I think that was the first and only time that we used up all of our chain. I think we have like 100 meters of chain.
Yeah.
And then it goes to a thick rope or road. And then we used, I don't know how much of that, but that's the deepest water we've anchored in. Now we've also been in our draft is,
Oh,
There
there's
you
a
go.
somebody shot.
our draft, meaning the depth that our boat sits in is about 4 feet under the water. And we've been in, I think, 5-6 feet of water, so we have like 1 or 2 feet underneath us. Now we've done that only in spots where we know it's like mud or sand, so if you do hit, it's not going to do any big damage like a rock or wood.
All right, we got to do a shout out to Todd and Cheryl. Todd and Cheryl are friends of mine, good friends of mine, and we met in Alexandria, Virginia. And then when I did my cross country trip before we did the moved aboard, I stayed with them for a few days, and then Dennis came and joined us. And they are going to be our next crew from Cadiz, Spain, to as far as they can make it to Croatia. And we are so psyched to have them. They're getting all prepared. They just booked their flights. They said they can't wait until we join you in Spain. Wish we could watch longer. We have an appointment. Thank you so much for logging in.
Yay.
Love you guys.
Well, they asked us earlier because they're going to bring a check bag, what they could bring to us. And I think both Ann and I at the exact same time were like, Duke's mayonnaise.
Oh, orzo.
Orzo. Bring us orzo.
It's an internal joke, bit of a. Okay, I'll explain that.
Yeah.
I've been sent on a suicide mission getting orzo in Saint Maarten. I probably visited every supermarket on the Dutch side and one on the French side. Nobody knows what orzo was. Nobody knew what that was. And clearly we could not find anything. We could find a lot of couscous, probably quinoa, 7 different types of rice. No orzo.
Yeah.
And needs the orzo.
Yeah, I really like orzo with a little bit of butter on it. But I think in Spain, in Europe in general, I read that orzo is going to be easy to find, but not Duke's mayonnaise. So that will be the priority. And we're going to also send Todd and Cheryl a few parts that we need to get replaced because the shopping in the U.S. is awesome. So it's great having people come from the United States to bring us goodies.
Maybe they need a second check bag. Oh, and that is a trick because it is hard, especially for the last year and a half. We've basically been in the Caribbean. It's very hard to source parts or source stuff. So what we would do is we would get on Amazon and ship stuff to whoever we knew was going to come visit us. And then it would be like Christmas in July when people would come visit, and we'd have like a suitcase full of whatever. I mean, we've had little swim boots for snorkeling to parts for the boat to Duke's Mayo.
Yeah, Duke's Mayo. Gotta have our Dukes. Hey, Robin, I think there's a comment from Beach Lovin' Mom. Robin, I thought you might be thinking of the song Deep in the Heart of Texas. Ha 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 ha.
That's it.
Anything?
Stars at night. Have you heard that song?
No,
You never heard that song?
probably not.
All right. This looks like someone related to you, Carl, and it's written in a language I can't read.
Yep.
So
It's kind of a good luck wish.
say it.
Oh, you want me to read that?
Yeah.
Stop vode pod kilem do końca rejsu. That means the literal translation is to keep at least 1 foot of water under your keel. Well, we don't have a keel, but I think it still applies. We have dagger boards.
That gives us a skill.
Yep. So, in kind of a very loose translation, means like, fair winds and falling seas.
Yeah.
Very nice. That's cool.
Thank
That's
you.
coming from my dad.
Ah,
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
thanks, Carl's dad.
Okay, so I still have this kind of 1 or 2 of the slightly awkward questions.
No.
So, where are you? Where are we?
We are at North 37, West 39.
Okay,
We
in
are-
English, please.
543 nautical miles away from.
We are pretty much 543 nautical miles away from Horta, Azores, and I would pretty much put it at due east or due west.
And
Because
if
we're going
somebody
east.
wants to
Yeah.
pinpoint us on the map,
If you want to pinpoint us on the map, we have a predict wind tracker. When this video is done and it's uploaded, we can put that in the description. I think it's also on our Instagram. Our Instagram is GTFOplan, just that simple. Our YouTube is also GTFOplan, and it's somewhere in there as well. And on top of that, not just does it give us our daily location, it'll also give you some other additional information like what's the wind speed, you can see the weather around us, and your boat speed. But we've been doing a daily blog update talking about what we do on the boat.
Yeah. Okay, Barry Holiday. He asks, "Can you make mayo?" Yes, you can. But we really like Dukes. But I guess if we don't get our Dukes, we might have to figure out. I did ask ChatGPT how to make Dukes mayo like Dukes. Problem is when you make it yourself, it goes bad really fast. So it'd be hard to figure out the exact amount. We hate wasting food, but we might have to try that, Barry. It's a very good question.
This one from Randall.
Randy Schmidt from
Oh, yeah,
Barrington Harbor. Woo! Hey, Randy. Indeed. How do you know what countries you can bring your dog to? Well, there's certain things I'm not going to say because, well, I'm just not.
Why you're not going to say it?
Although Shotzi has a French passport. I'm just really impressed by that.
Yeah, Shotzi does have a French passport. It's easier for the EU. We made sure to leave from an EU country, so we left from the French side of Saint Maarten, which will make it easier. And she does have a vet health certificate to enter the Azores. The easiest way is to Google and double check your sources. It's very confusing. There's places that are super strict, like New Zealand and Australia. I would never tempt, and we will not go there while Shotzi's still with us, because even though they've made their restrictions less, I think she'd have to be in quarantine for 10 days, which would actually just kill her. You know, she's so attached, and she's 13 years old, so we'll just wait to hit those territories when we are Shotzi free.
So I have another question here. So, Anne, this one's to you. What are some of the basic rules? 3, 5, or maybe one rule that you have on this boat as a captain?
As a captain, that's a good one. That's what she does. Really for me, safety is the most important thing. Everything else can wait. At night, like we've touched upon, you have to have your PFD and you have to tether in. And that is because even though we also require everyone to have a PLB, personal locator beacon, which has DSC, I'm throwing a lot of terms at you, DSC, which hooks up to our boat, and it also is AIS, so it sends your signal out. Because in this, even at the speed we're moving, 8 knots, not very fast, if you fell over, by the time we could get the boat turned around, it's going to be quite a distance. And with these waves, it's like looking for a football in, dark seas. Very, very hard to see. So we are much more for prevention. So anyway, that's the nighttime rule. During the daytime, if it's calm seas, you're allowed to go up front, but you have to have someone who is keeping an eye on you. You never go up with someone not knowing. And if it's rough seas in daytime, we'll wear our PFDs, but we won't necessarily clip in. So those are the big ones.
Yeah.
Other than that, we try to live very greenly. We have 2,400 watts of solar, and so we ask that people, yes, we can make water, but making water is a cost. And it's been very cloudy, so we're not bringing in as much energy as we'd like. So we try to conserve on water. Don't put the faucet on full blast. Don't, take long showers. Get wet. Turn off the water. Soap up. Rinse off. Those are just kind of some housekeeping things. Keep the space neat, but I think as time goes on, it's getting messier and messier, because if you could see over here, I have a half-done project with Dyneema. Jackets and everything is everywhere, so we can bundle up fast. Quick rules, and
that's the big one. Safety is probably
Yeah.
it. The rest, like you said, is kind of house rules.
Yeah.
Here's another one.
All right.
Do we get to swim while we're doing the crossing?
That's captain's call.
We're going too fast now.
Asking for a friend.
We have, when we are in really light winds and barely moving, we have strung a line off the back and people hold on. But even at 5 knots, Dennis went in the water at 5 knots.
That's hard.
It's hard. Yeah, tell him. And you're strong.
Yeah, 5 knots. I think what is it? 1 mile per hour is 1.14 knots. So you're moving along, at least 5 miles per hour, and you get that pull, that drag, and you have to pull yourself up against that. It's challenging.
Yeah.
So the short answer is no. We will not do that
unless we're going like 2 or 3 knots. Then
Right.
we will.
Yeah. But more than likely, if we're doing 2 or 3 knots, we're gonna have the engines on because we want to. As much as we want to sail, we also want to get to our destination.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people when we cross the equator that will kind of slow down, heave to the boat, bring it to a stop, jump in. At that point in time, it was just the 2 of us, and we were moving along at least 10, 12 knots, and we're like, nope.
Yeah,
We are moving way too fast. We don't even want to stop the boat. We just want to keep going.
Even if we had to and I hope to, which would make the boat kind of settle, there was like a 3-knot current, and that's really strong. It was very, very choppy. It would be completely unsafe to jump in the water. So we had to just become shellbacks on the boat.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a question from Robin. What's your favorite and least favorite moment so far?
Well, my favorite moment was actually in St. Maarten.
Oh, that's when you were skiing on the slopes of St. Maarten.
Well, we just sat on the front of the boat and just looked at the night view, and the lights were beautiful, and we created all kinds of stories with the clouds, and it was fun. Yeah, it was fun. And I love being on the water. I really do. This is the longest time I've been on the ocean or on the sea. So I'm starting to decide with Anne and thinking that I might like the destination better. But I still like being out there. I do.
Your least favorite?
My least favorite was probably maybe, was it a day or two ago when the waves were just so big that you feel like, I hope we don't flip. But we didn't.
And to that point, I mean, the chances of us flipping are, I would say slim to none, but you know, you can't rule that out, but that's.
So for me, I actually have found that when the boat is rocking, I sleep really well, but when the ocean is flat, I don't, because the rocking really kind of makes me feel like a baby, and it makes me go to sleep. Like, seriously. I don't hear the banging or anything.
So on a catamaran, obviously you have the two holes. The aft cabin, which is what Robin has, is generally more settled, and it digs in a little better. Whereas,
I'm good.
And for Ann and I are on the owner's side. Our cabin is forward, and same for Carl. He's on the opposite side, but his cabin is forward. So you're up front, and you're catching all those waves and all that bounce.
Yeah, if I could say one thing to balance, why did you put the owner's cabin in the front? Bad decision.
Okay, we got 2 questions from Barry.
All right.
First one is about the sharks.
Well,
any stories with the sharks?
If the water is salty, I heard there's sharks.
Yes. So there is a video on my Instagram. You have to, navigate to find my Instagram, and there's a test how you can make sure that there are or there are no sharks around you. Follow that religiously, and you will know whether there are or there aren't any sharks around you.
That's why we chose it.
Have you seen any sharks so far?
No, we've not seen any sharks.
Not a passage.
Not a passage. Even
at what was the place with the whole?
We were in Staniel Cay in the Bahamas.
Yeah,
there were a ton of nurse sharks.
Totally harmless. So I walked down on the steps. Mom, I think you were scared for me. You didn't believe that they wouldn't be harmful, but the nurse sharks were swimming all around my legs. It's really no problem at all.
And I think the only other time.
And then we did a scuba class before we moved onto the boat. On someone else's balance boat, we've got our scuba certifications, and I saw a shark, and the instructor saw it, but unfortunately the camera did not catch it.
Yeah.
So I can't.
But we've seen barracudas, and then just. Earlier today, I think you said you saw dolphins again.
I think it was yesterday.
We lose track of time. But 2-3 days ago, there was probably a pod of about 10 or 15 that we saw. And so it's dolphins. Everybody grabs their camera and you run up front. Unfortunately, the conditions weren't like this. Otherwise, we would have been just looking out the window like, yeah, there he is. But yeah, dolphins never get old.
Yeah, and sharks don't really like the way people taste, from what I've heard. So even if they do bite you, they're going to say, yeah, and go away, right?
It's just going to bite you.
Yeah.
You bleed to death.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm sorry.
And then Barry Holiday, who asked about the sharks. Thank you for all these questions, Barry. Love it. Do you have one of your dagger boards in the water?
We actually have both down right now.
Yeah.
The leeward side, which is down the starboard, is further down, and the port one is about halfway. The reason we put those down is just to give us a little bit more stability because we're just bouncing all over the place. When I put the starboard one down all the way, it did seem to help settle the boat because what we were finding is with the waves, the boat was struggling to kind of stay on track with the autopilot, and to help kind of just keep it more on track?
Yeah. Basically, if you think of a circle at your 90-degree points from the forward, when you're below 90, you don't use dagger boards. When you're above 90 or heading more in toward the wind, you need the dagger boards to help your tracking so the boat doesn't drift as much.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing. Part of the reason we bought this boat is the balance of performance and comfort, not cost.
Yeah.
But with the dagger boards, this catamaran, we can sail up to about 35 degrees apparent wind angle, which a lot of catamarans can't. And then I think Anne and Carl, especially Carl, you can speak to that because you've done charters on catamaran. And what was your kind of no-go zone?
Yeah, well, I guess a lot of it depends on the brand, and I must say I've never sailed like a cat like Balance that is just so performance oriented. I sailed the Leopards and I've sailed the Bali, and you know what I mean, getting above 60 degrees was, sorry, below 60 degrees was very challenging, and then the boat started doing all the funny things that, you know, that just we haven't seen here.
Yeah.
Here right now we're sailing around 50, but earlier, even today, we were doing about 30, 45, and the boat is holding steady, so
Yeah.
she's great that way.
Yeah, we say we can sail at 35, but at 35 we're really slow for the wind speed. And then at 40 it starts picking up, and at 45 she's moving, she's happy, very, very happy. I have a great one.
Oh, I thought that was Carl.
No. So my sister and her kids are watching, and someone, I think I know who, says, "Who's your favorite visitor?" Hint, name starts with K.
Carl. Thank you. Thank you.
And then my mom, who's named Katie, she says, "Answer, Katie." And then she says Katya. And then she says Kayleen. They're all K's. Poor Santi is the one K name. And Santi is so cute. You guys are all my favorites. Thank you so much. We loved your visit. I'm glad you stayed longer. And Santi, I'm sorry you didn't catch any fish. Carl feels your pain. He's been trying every single day to catch a fish.
Today is the lucky day.
We've heard that before. We love you too. We miss you. I wish you could come to Croatia and visit us.
Any other questions that we've seen? Uh-oh.
We spoke about the rules. We spoke about unusual things.
I think one of the best days I had was, we have not seen another boat physically with our eyes since we've been out here. But there was another boat that left around the same time that we left. And Anne's racing.
Do we want to go that way?
You know,
It's okay.
she's
I can
got
take
this-
it.
She for a moment thought that maybe we were for a moment ahead of this other boat, Viento.
Yeah.
And I've never seen her so excited or tickled. Like she was just, "Boy, we're beating them.
And now they're like 2 days ahead of us. So they just smoked us. Way to go, Viento.
Yeah.
Kudos.
Kudos to you. We tried hard, but you know. What can we do?
Yeah.
Well, I must say that I was very excited today. For probably 20 minutes, I was looking forward to seeing another boat. We could see it. I could see it on the radar during my night watch tonight. The boat was passing probably within 5 miles away from us, so it was a big ship. But again, it was pitch black, nothing. I could not see a single light. Major disappointment. I was looking forward to seeing anything other than, you know, the ocean and the darkness of the night. But unfortunately, nothing.
It does get a little lonely in that context out here, but it's funny because when you get to a certain point, like we came around Cape Hatteras, we hadn't seen a boat for days, but then because it's just that narrow point that everybody tries to get around, all of a sudden you wake up, you look outside, and there's like 2-3 boats around you, and they're within like a half mile, but it's like other sailboats, and you're like, wow, where did all these people come from? And I think out here it's nice because there is nobody.
Yeah.
Because I think our biggest threat, honestly, sometimes is other sailboats or other boats. Because, yeah.
So we have a follow-up question on the viento topic. What made it so much faster?
You know, we asked Carlos what his boat is, because when he kind of went right by us at the start, we were too tight to the wind and we were trying to wait, and we were just motoring to get to a point where we could bring up our sails away from land, and he just like smoked by us, and he had huge sails. So my thinking is it's not our lack of sailing skills. I think his boat just outperforms us. And another thing, he used Chris Parker, is a famous weather router, whereas we depend on predict wind, so he might have had a little edge there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think from the looks of it, he's probably a good 54-foot boat. He's a monohull, so yes, we're just talking about how we can point high, but he can sustain it and sustain speed, whereas Anne pointed out, if we point too high, we start to lose that speed.
Yeah.
So he was able to angle more effectively towards here.
Yo, Sailing Peeps from You Are Limp. This is Walt, by the way, old YouTube account. Hey.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Walt.
Yeah, good to hear from you, Walt. When are you going to come out and visit us?
That's right.
Thank you, water. Well, if anybody has any more questions, we might start wrapping this up. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been awesome, and it's just we love ways to connect. And
Yeah, I mean,
what?
I don't know if we'll do this again. Maybe we will.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
If
But
people like it.
yeah, we've got our YouTube channel. We have our daily Predict Wind blog. Carl's got his Instagram. Robin's on Instagram as well.
Oh, and we publish regular video content every Wednesday. So please check that out. Hit the subscribe button so you get the notifications with the little bell. And what is that icon?
I'm not sure
is
what
that?
is it? Oh, that's. I think it's a clapping.
Oh, is that a clapping? Starlink is so, Barry says, Starlink is so amazing that you're able to do this live stream. It is. It's really cool. It's such a game changer. On the passage, I told you from South Africa, we had a lot of problems, a lot of things like losing steering in the middle of the ocean. That was a fun one. But with Starlink, Dennis, who's like mechanic extraordinaire already, but he would do videos, send them to people. We would get the answers back. So we would get just like really easy help along the way.
Yeah, I mean,
That was fantastic.
I think there's a lot of purists in the sailing world and the sailing is an opportunity, especially what we're doing to digitally detox, if you will, and get off Instagram, get off social media stuff like right now. But it was definitely worth all the money, the amount of help and assistance that we got in real time, so that if we had an issue, we could fix it right then and there, and not have these cryptic, what do you mean by this? Well, I don't see that. You know, it's back and forth. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And so in addition to Starlink tracking our location, and that in every description of our video, that link so you can see where we are at the current moment, that's in every single video description that we have. We also, as a backup, we have Garmin InReach, and we send out a float plan before we do any long passage to keep family members, crew, friends, whatever, so they can keep an eye on us. And if this link in our Garmin doesn't work, they can go to our other one, our InReach, and then we have instructions in case nothing works.
Yeah, back to kind of the safety piece earlier that you were talking about. We do have a life raft. It's got space for 6 people, which means the 4 of us will feel like it's 3. We have a ditch bag. Inside the ditch bag is an EPIRB. It's basically an electronic beacon that sends a message to a satellite that sends it out to safety centers that notifies rescue to come get us. As Ann mentioned, we have our PLBs. But the other thing we have too is with that Garmin InReach, we have equipment gear set up in this area right behind me, so that in the event we do have to leave the boat, everything is right there. We grab it. We have a handheld VHF. We grab that Garmin because that'll at least give another satellite location
and a way to communicate with people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's not going to happen.
No.
Correct. Well, the other thing too with the catamaran is unless it's like something drastic like a fire, your chances are that you're not going to sink because we have 2 holes. So
Yeah.
we may be upside down, but one of those holes has not been breached, and so we in our life raft can stay with our boat. Unlike a monohull, if the hull breach occurs, we've heard of cases where folks within 10, 15 minutes of the breach,
Oh, a couple
the
of
boat
minutes.
is gone, and
Yeah.
they have to be off. So for them, it's much more get out of here.
It's a whole different race to the bottom.
Yeah.
Barry says safe travels. Thank you so much, Barry. Really appreciate it. We love your comments. Your limp about 3 days to land. No, 4. 4 is what we're thinking. Unfortunately, we hope Wednesday is when we arrive.
Yeah.
But it may be Thursday. It depends how the weather holds up.
Yeah.
Any final comments?
What are you gonna do as the first thing when we go on land?
Find the first available bar.
Yeah, that's what we were talking by Leviathan. He says, look for the fab, first available bar.
Yeah, that's Pete's Cafe, Pete's Sports Cafe, and I guess they're renowned for their gin and tonics. Oh, and then the other cool thing is what Horta is known for, because it's been a sailing waypoint for hundreds of years, is they have a big seawall, and the tradition is that every boat that comes through writes the name of their boat on the seawall or their logo, and with their crew. And so we'll be doing that as well.
Yeah.
Keeping that tradition.
And thank you for the little hearts, Katya. Miss you so much. I love hearing from you. That's my niece. So sweet. And so is my nephew. If you're watching, Santi.
He's out fishing.
He's out fishing. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. We want to thank everybody so much, and we love all your questions. And please comment on our videos, like, subscribe, do all that, bell icon, ding, ding.
Yeah, and when this video posts, the comment section will still be open. So if there's a question that you think of later on, it could be later today, it could be tomorrow, put it in there. We're pretty good about responding to comments, and then we'll address it as soon as we can.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Love you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.